Hi everybody and welcome to Arma 3. Now this video is going to be my beginner's guide to how to get into and kind of how to play Arma 3 solo for people who perhaps you've been playing Call of Duty, you've been playing Battlefield, you've been playing Daisy, you've been playing other games, and you're maybe even seeing like the upcoming World War II DLC that's coming out, or maybe that's out already by the time you watch this video, and you're thinking, yeah, I want to have a go of this. You're probably aware of Arma 3, but you're probably aware also that it can be pretty complicated to get into. So what we're going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be going through what our version of Arma to buy and what DLC to get as well. We're going to be looking at the controls. We're going to be looking at how you can improve the performance of Arma, because it is traditionally pretty terrible, Arma 3. Different mods that you'll probably want to install. How to get started. We're going to be looking at like how the kind of game works with the launcher and the main menus. We're going to be looking at the scenarios, the bootcamp and the campaign that you can crack on with. Some of the basic concepts, like how to control it, how to use cheats. And then we're going to look at the Prairie DLC and the SOG AI mod. Now there's going to be a lot of kind of additional watching and additional reading part of this video. So I won't be covering everything directly. You'll find links in the description below this video. So in the description below this video, what you'll find is timestamps for all these things we're going to be covering, but also lots of links to other videos that will be covering subjects that you'll find very, very useful as you start your Arma journey, because trust me, it is a journey through Arma 3, and sometimes it'll be quite a frustrating one, but you'll also have these gameplay moments that you never really come across in any other game, and I think it is very, very special indeed. Right, so let's get started. So which version of Arma 3 should you buy? And for me, it's quite simple. You really want to go for the Arma 3 Ultimate Edition, because Arma, since its release in 2013, has had many official add-ons and DLCs bolted onto it that give it the abilities and playability that it has today that you'll need to play. It really helps if you can get it while there's a sale on. So at the moment when I'm recording this video, you can get it all for £29.06, and for that you get in the original Arma 3, carts, helicopters, marksmen, apex, Lords of War jets. So there's DLC, there's campaigns, there's scenarios, there's challenges, there's physical things in this in these little add-ons that you're gonna want. And if you just buy the basic Arma 3, you're gonna end up having to buy these other bits anyway. So kind of that's the kind of official side of it from Bootcamp Interactive. Now, what also happens as part of Arma is there's a huge modding community. I mean, absolutely massive, and you're going to learn more about that as you continue your Arma 3 journey. But there is also what's called Creator DLC. So this is mods, and a mod can be anything from a collection of assets, so like tanks or helicopters or uniforms or something like that, to like an all-encompassing almost like something we would expect from sort of Battlefield, where you'll get maps, modes, new vehicles, all that sort of thing. So for example, with the Creator DLC, we've got like Iron Curtain, Western Sahara, Global Mobilization, and SOG Prairie, and then we've also got the World War II C DLC that's coming up as well. And now the difference with the C DLC, these packs, is that they are officially supported by Bootcamp Interactive. They are released with the help of Bootcamp Interactive. They come under the umbrella of the Arma 3 software, and you've got to pay for them as well. But that kind of reflects in the quality that you get. And the one that I think you should definitely get first is Prairie. So this is the Vietnam one. This is almost a complete remake of Arma 3, set in the late 60s in Vietnam, and it is absolutely excellent. So that's what you want to get. So get the Arma 3 Ultimate Edition, and then get the Prairie DLC as well. Now, while we're in Steam, and if there is a sale on, and you're thinking, I think I'm really going to like Arma, or maybe you've played a bit of it and you're thinking, I want to get more into this. There is the whole world of mods, but also there's the whole world of Arma 2 and the original sort of Arma as well. So another thing you might want to consider getting is Arma X or Arma 2. Which is, in the Arma X package, which is only £6, you get Arma 2, you get all of the add-ons, and you get the original Arma Cold War Assault and the Arma Gold Edition as well. Now, before you go, oh, wait a minute, why would I want Arma 2? Surely that's, you know, a really old game, isn't it? Well, remember, Arma 3 came out in 2013. Arma 2, 2011. So it's not that much different when you go into it. Obviously, Arma 3 looks better, but Arma definitely has some really, Arma 2 definitely has some really good single player scenarios as well, and missions and campaigns to do, so definitely consider that. The other thing you might want to consider is Arma Reforger. Now, it's not on sale at the moment. It's $24.99 when I'm recording this video. And Arma Reforger it's not a complete game. This is the stepping stone from Arma 3 to Arma 4. It's almost like a beta platform for Bohemian Interactive, for the devs, to start working on a new game engine, the Infusion engine, and to introduce all the mechanics they'll want in Arma 4, but in kind of this live gameplay situation. I kind of think Arma Reforger should be free because of that. But it's an interesting addition, and once you've kind of got used to the concepts behind Arma, especially Arma 3, going into Arma Reforger, you'll be able to appreciate it much, much better. So, you know, consider that. And then if you're feeling a little bit flush, there is something called the Arma Veterans Pack, which basically gets you everything. So you get Arma Reforger, you get Arma 3, you get the DLC, you get Arma 2, and you get all of that stuff. Remember, you won't get the DLC, you've still got to buy that. So there we go, that's what you should buy on Steam. So while we're still over on Steam, I thought it would be an idea to go through what I consider to be essential mods to improve your Arma 3 solo experience. The first one is SOG AI. Now, you won't be using this one that much until you actually dive into the Prairie Fire DLC scenarios and campaign, but you might as well subscribe to it anyway, because there are certain situations where it will improve vanilla Arma as well. Now, SOG AI is a rewriting of the way that you can control and command your soldiers when you're moving around in a mission where you have a squad of soldiers. But it's not just the way that you command them, it's what they do as well. Johnny Boy has improved the way that they move from location to location, how they engage with enemies, and most importantly, I think, the way that they disengage with enemies as well. Simple single player cheat menu. Now, you may think, what cheats? You may not have even really used cheats in games before, but this is specifically for when you're playing solo single player missions, campaigns, scenarios, challenges, that sort of things. Because I won't lie, Arma 3 can be very frustrating and janky at times, and a lot of the time it's not always obvious what you should be doing in a particular mission. And you may well be in a firefight in the middle of the jungle, and your squad mates are getting killed, and you're like, I just don't know what I'm meant to be doing here. At that point, I think it's more than fair to fire up the cheat menu and just put on invincibility for you and your teammates, maybe infinite ammo as well, till you figure out what's going on, and then turn it off. Also, there's plenty of scenarios and challenges and campaigns and things that are designed to work with multiplayer, that you can actually do with single player, whereby spawning in squad mates using something like SOG AI. But there may well be a part of that mission or that campaign that is very, very difficult to do by yourself without a human helping you. There's an example of this in the Bright Light campaign in SOG AI. Sorry, Bright Light campaign in Prairie Fire, where you need to go down into these tunnels to rescue a helicopter pilot. And it's very difficult to do by yourself, so you need to make yourself invincible before you go in there so you can actually complete it, and when you get out you can then turn it off. Web Knight's 2 primary weapons. If you're coming from Battlefield or PUBG or DayZ, anything where you're allowed to have 2 guns, it can be a bit jarring when you come to Arma 3 and you're only allowed to have 1 primary weapon and a pistol and a launcher. You know, you'll be used to swapping between, and 2 primary weapons by Web Knight allows you to do this. Very, very useful, especially again in Prairie Fire, when you want to have a ranged weapon with a scope on, and then you want to have something like a submachine gun for close-up work. To go with that, you need to install CBA-A3. And then we've got the automatic view distance mod as well. What I'll do is I'll link to all these mods in the description below this video, but I'll also link to the guides that I've written or other people have written that show you how to use them. Before we go any further, I just wanted to show you a couple of things that will be included with your install. The first one is the manual, which is fairly simple, but it's interesting to read through. But more importantly is the Arma 3 keyboard layout PDF. And this for me is incredibly important, because what you want to do is you want to be able to print this out. You could make it into the triangle that they show here, or you may want to laminate it or do a few copies of it, because this gives you an idea of how complicated the controls in Arma 3 are to start off with. Now once you're playing the game and you've got used to it, you won't be using, probably 25% of these controls. There'll be a core group of controls that you continue to be using, but it's very handy to have this as a reference. So you think, oh wait a minute, how do I select all my soldiers in a squad again? Or wait a minute, how do I ask someone to heal someone else? How do I do that? How do I change the stance of my soldier that it's in here? And I've got one of these. It's laminated. Whenever I'm playing Arma 3, it's sitting somewhere near, so if I need to, I can pause the game and have a look at it. So where do you find it? Well, if we go back to my PC, obviously you'll know where Arma is installed on your PC, which drive it's on, because you'll have told Steam which drive to install it on when you installed it. But if you double click on, say for example, Windows, and then you go into Program Files x86, then you go into Steam, then you go into Steam Apps, then you go into Common, and then you go into Arma 3. It's down here, so Arma 3 keyboard layout and Arma 3 manual, and you'll have this wonderful document. You can print it out, you can laminate it, and don't be too intimidated, because you do get used to it, but it is a very, very useful tool to have at the side when you're playing Arma 3. Unfortunately, I can't do a video about getting into Arma 3 without discussing performance, frames per second of this game. Remember, Arma 3 originally came out in 2013, and Bohemian Interactive have never made it so that Arma 3 really takes advantage of the latest graphical power that we have with the newer machines. It's very dependent on CPU power for doing all the calculations of what different characters and different AI are doing, but you can make it run better than it probably is at the moment. If you've already dived into the game, especially if you've dived into the Prairie DLC, where we've got these jungles with thousands of extra trees and bushes and things like that, it's probably tanked your FPS, and you're probably thinking, wait a minute, in a modern game I'm getting like 60 to 125 FPS, while I'm only getting 24 frames per second in Arma 3. Well, in the description below the video, you'll find a link to this video by Nightin, which is called Arma 3 How I Doubled My FPS Optimized Performance Guide 2023. So if you just go through the simpler things that he does here, you should find you get better performance out of your Arma experience. One of the things I will say though is that you want to really look at your draw distance, and don't be obsessed by it. So if I go into my options, for example, I go into video, and we've got draw distance here. If you are getting bad FPS and you've done the other things, you can always do what I've got done here, which is you can turn everything down to high apart from PNP, and it will look fine, and then you can make your draw distance fairly short. In fact, I could make mine even shorter, because when you're in the jungle especially, you don't need to be able to see 4 kilometers into the distance. You don't need objects to be drawn that far, because you simply can't see that far. Now when you're in a helicopter or you're in a jet and you're flying around, by all means turn that up, but at that point what you could probably do as well is turn things like texture and objects and terrain down, because you're going to be in a jet 1,000 feet in the air, and that's not going to matter as much. So that's always a good thing to do. As you can see, I've got automatic view distancing on for me, and that seems to work pretty well. But there we go. So check out that video, check out what he does, and that should make your Arma experience a little bit more smoother and a lot more immersive. So now let's take a look at starting up Arma 3 and the launcher and the DLCs and the mods. So you can go to your Steam library or go to the shortcut that will have appeared on your desktop after you've installed Arma 3, and you fire it up, and what will launch is not the game but the launcher, this thing you'll see here. And the launcher is a device that bolts on all those extra bits that you want to add into Arma 3, so it'll be ready for when you actually launch it. It's kind of adding all these different parameters. So the first thing to look at is really the DLC. So probably you'll just have it blank at the moment. If you've bought the Ultimate Edition, you should have installed all of the extra DLC that's there. Remember, go back to Steam if you need to do that. And when you're ready to play, for example, Prairie, you would tick that, and then you would click play after you'd looked at your mods, and that will then fire up and it'll add that particular DLC in. A rule of thumb with all of this stuff is less is more. So the less add-ons you can load in, the less DLC, the less mods, the better Arma 3 will run. So for me, for example, to start off with, if I was just doing some vanilla Arma 3, just going to untick that, and then we're going to go to mods. Now, mods, this is the thing that has just transformed Arma 3, transformed many games. In fact, there's all this user-created content that improves the game, but it's very easy to get a little bit over enthusiastic about downloading mods, which doesn't really matter that much as long as you're not using up all the hard space on your PC, but also loading too many in. And remember, every time you're loading a mod in, it's going to reduce the performance of your game. So try and keep it as tight as you can. Sometimes it's not up to you, but where it is, do that. So what I tend to load in when I'm playing something like the campaigns or Prairie or something like that, always the simple single player cheat menu when I'm playing by myself, so I can whack on invincibility, or I can go into the virtual arsenal and give myself some different weapons. SOG AI, fantastic for Prairie and other scenarios and campaigns as well. CBA3 because it goes with Web Knight's 2 primary weapons mod. Automatic view distance, and at the moment I am actually trying out death and hit reactions just to see what it's like, see if it improves the immersion in the game. And then we would hit play with mods. Now, a frustrating thing about the launcher, and I don't know if there's a way around it. If there is, you've got any experienced Arma players, tell me in the description below the video, in the comments section, below the description below the video. But sometimes you'll have, well, a lot of the time you'll have scenarios or campaigns or challenges that you'll load in, that you'll subscribe to, that will have dependencies. So this is the Forgotten Few 2, and this is a mod that you subscribe to, and it gives you missions that you need to play. And in order to play these, you need to have these mods. You not only need to be subscribed to these mods, but you need to make sure you've loaded them up in the launcher before you dive in and play it. So you would subscribe to this, and then in the launcher you would make sure you ticked that particular thing, and you would make sure you had those mods selected as well. One of the things you can do is you can then go to, and once you've selected them, you could save them as, so you could save it as a preset of mods. If you just load in without the required dependencies, the thing will probably work, but you'll get errors popping up, which can be a little bit frustrating. So once you become familiar with how the launcher works, it does become second nature, but just watch out for those things to start off with. So here we are in the rather basic menu that's included with Arma 3, but there is so much content hidden behind these options that you're going to want to be playing your way through. Now, you probably want to start with the Bootcamp and the VR training, and these will get you used to the basics of moving around. In fact, the VR training gets quite advanced. So when you're doing these training missions and these tutorials, when you get to a point where you think, oh right, I'm never going to remember this, I've had enough, just stop, all right, and then move and play a different game or play a different aspect to Arma. Then what you're going to be looking at is the single player, and we've got lots of different things on offer here. You don't have to work through them in order, and they all offer different levels of training and experiences and fun. So if you click on campaigns, you get the main vanilla campaign that you can work through. And again, highly recommend when you go into these campaigns, turn on that simple single player cheat menu, turn on invincibility to start off with until you get used to it, and most of, if not all of, the campaigns and the scenarios and challenges, they're designed to be replayed as well. So once you're kind of familiar with what you should be doing, go back and maybe play on a more difficult difficulty level or something like that. So you can work your way through the campaign, and there's loads of stuff here. But again, it can get a little bit much after a while. And then you have the showcases. Now these are really interesting. These are kind of like mini missions that will concentrate on a particular part of Arma. So you've got the infantry one, which can be really difficult, by the way. And then you've got like scuba, if you fancy having a go at driving a vehicle around, flying helicopters around. Again, you don't have to do these in any particular order. Just dive in and have a go. Some of it you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm a bit out of my depth here, I don't really know what I'm doing. Maybe you'll have to do some further research on YouTube. But they are a lot of fun, and they show you the different aspects that are available for Arma 3. Especially things that I quite like, that marksman one. That's like a bit like a level from the Sniper Elite video games. So work your way through those as well. Challenges, there's not that many actually, but you can have a look at these, and these feature different parts of the game as well. And then we have scenarios. Now scenarios generally most of the time will be things that you're downloading from the Steam workshop that will be custom missions or custom scenarios that you're going to dive into and you're going to have a play around with, apart from the Old Man Apex one, which is here. And this is kind of like a live game, almost like a role play server where you're by yourself and you've got lots of different things to go. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Maybe something you wouldn't dive into straight away, as are probably lots of these other things. Now, if you've already fired up the launcher with the Prairie Fire DLC, you'll know that it looks quite different to this. And I'm going to show you at the end. I'm going to go into that as well. But there we go. So there's lots to offer here. As I say, start off with the Bootcamp, maybe a little bit of the VR training, play a little bit of the campaign until you kind of get bored. Have a go with the showcases so you can try different things out. And definitely have a look at a couple of the challenges, and you will get a really good taste of what's to offer in Arma 3. There hasn't been, and there won't be, that much gameplay in this guide, because in the description below this video there's lots of links to other videos that are going to include more of that. But I did want to cover some of the basic concepts, and to do that, and you can do this as well, if you go single player and then go click on the editor, and then you can pick on any of these maps. Kind of Stratis is a good map because it's very small, so you get very good frames per second. And we can load into the Eden editor, and this is an amazing part of Arma 3, that you will be, if you've never seen something like this before, you'll be like, oh my god, this is fantastic. So this is where you can build missions, campaigns, scenarios, all sorts of things. But for our purposes, we're just going to use it to kind of spawn stuff in. So you can move around with WASD. You go up and down with Q and Z, and if you right click on your mouse, you can drag around, and then you press shift, left shift, you kind of move quickly. What we're going to do is we're just going to press M, and then we're going to roll out with our mouse wheel, and we're just going to go over to the airbase, roll back in again, and we're going to left click here, is it left click, right click, middle click. So click in your mouse wheel, and we're going to set the camera there, and then we're going to press M, and we're at the airbase. And this is good because it's a nice flat area to which we can spawn a soldier in. And you will probably end up spending hours playing around in the editor because you can spawn whatever you like in. So we're going to do blue 4, and we're going to just get, it doesn't really matter which, what should we do? We'll go with a auto rifleman, shall we? We're just going to left click on him, we're just going to click somewhere on the map, and then we can get a bit closer if we want, and then we can right click on him just about there, and we can say play as the character. So this is going to spawn us in onto the map. There's nothing else here, just us, so we're going to get fantastic FPS. If we press the enter key on our numpad, we'll go to third person like that. If you right click, you'll aim down sights. If you left click, you'll fire your gun. Press 1 and you'll change the fire mode. If you've got a grenade launcher, it will go underneath as well. Double click control and we'll go to a more relaxed stance. WASD for moving around. Control C changes you to kind of like a walking mode. Remember, you can press Alt to have a look around as well while you're walking. And press Control C again to go back to kind of jogging mode, and Shift will make you sprint all of the time. We've got X to crouch, Z to lie down, and we can go back up by pressing X or Z again. And then double click on left control to go back to a more relaxed walk. So you'll pick all that stuff up pretty quickly when you're going into the missions. But what I want to do is, if we press M to bring up the map, one of the confusing things you have in Arma 3 is you won't know what you're meant to be doing. And this is where the map really comes in handy, because it's not just a map. You also have these things up here called map, briefing, team, CBA, and often you'll have tasks as well. So if you're never quite sure what you should be doing, bring up the map and then have a look at the briefing, and that it will come up and it'll show you what you should be doing. It'll say, look, this is what you're doing, this is what this mission's all about. And it might go into some more detail about the environment you're in, and then you'll have your tasks, and the tasks will tell you what you should be doing next. So always have a look at that. Also, what I wanted to show you is the simple single player cheat menu. So you click on that, left click on that, and it will load up, and then it will say cheats here. So we can now left click on that, and you want to go to invincibility. Now, especially when you're first starting off and you're playing through the campaign, or you're playing through some of the scenarios, you'll find them very frustrating because you die very, very quickly in Arma, and you'll be like, oh, bloody hell, I've died again. Because the AI are very, very good as well. So just go into invincibility and give yourself invincibility. Give your squad mates invincibility as well if you like. And you could go to infinite ammo and give yourself infinite ammo as well. That way you can run around and you can enjoy the game. And I said it before, but it's worth saying again, is that the scenarios, the campaigns and the challenges that you get in Arma 3, they are designed to be replayed again and again. And when you start playing SOG AI, the Prairie Fire DLC, those missions you will play again and again because they have lots of random elements to them. So every time you play them, they're slightly different. And that's where being able to go through the mission the first time and understand what you're meant to be doing and roughly where you're meant to be going really helps and stops that frustration if you're thinking, this is mental, this isn't like anything else. Where's all the markers telling me where to go? You can also go into the virtual arsenal. So if you click on that, and we enable that and say open. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it does work. So in the virtual arsenal, that's your soldier, and you can click on the different elements that make up your soldier and change them. So for example, if we click on the gun, so we can click on the gun here, or we can click on it here, and then we have a choice of all the different weapons that we may well want to use in Arma 3. So I don't know, let's have a look. So how about that one? So we can change to that one, and then when you come over to this side on the right hand side, you can then choose the scope that you might want to put on it, and then we could attach a laser to it, and then we could attach a suppressor to it, and sometimes they'll have bipods and things like that. And then if we go in, for example, into our backpack, has he got one on? Yeah, he's got one on. We could then change our backpack, and then we could choose what we want to put into our backpack as well. I think my backpack must be full. So say we gave him a bigger backpack. Can we fit more stuff into it? Maybe not. Let's have a look at our shirt then. So as you can see, I could choose a shirt for him. Carrier rig, tropic, there we go. And this isn't full yet. See, the white bar's only up to here. So we can add more magazines or grenades or all that sort of stuff. So let's add a few more of those to him. And then you've got magazines, miscellaneous stuff. I know it just has lots of magazines, but if you scroll down, you can see different things. And with different DLC and with different mods, you'll have different stuff you can put in. Then we've got a load of grenades we can add, and then we've got first aid kits. It's always good to have lots of first aid kits in Arma, because although it is a bit of a military simulator, you can, if you get shot, you can heal yourself. So there we go. So now we've got a nice gun with a double sight. So if you've got a double sight, we've got like a green dot on the top and a telescoping underneath. You press left control and then right click, and you can swap between your sights like that, which is pretty good. And then we can double left control to go into more relaxed mode, and we've got a nice little setup there. Actually, we've got a grenade launcher on this as well. So if we press 1 to go to blue auto, press 1 again, we've gone to the grenade launcher. So oh, that went a bit far, didn't it? R to reload. You're going to get to see this one? There we go. God, it goes a long way, doesn't it? Press 1 again to get back to a single fire, and then multi-fire. 2 would bring up... Oh, we've got a pistol, so that's good. And then 3 would bring up our launcher if we had one. However, that is different if you're using the Web Knight's 2 primary weapons, where you use 4 to switch between the different weapons. Now, this guy has only got 1 primary weapon, so that is not going to happen. So we're not going to worry about that. So that's it really for the kind of the basics. You've got enough kind of info to start moving around. As I say, don't be scared to go in and use the cheats and stick on invincibility. Honestly, it can be so frustrating, Arma 3, that I think there's nothing wrong with turning on invincibility, work your way through something, and then maybe go back and do it without invincibility afterwards, once you know what you're doing. Because so many times you'll get stuck in a mission and you'll be like, I don't know what to do, I don't know where the enemies come from. That will lead you to getting killed. Whereas if you knew more of what was going on, you would be able to do that much, much better. We're back in the Arma 3 launcher, because to finish off this video, I just wanted to go through the Arma Prairie Fire DLC experience, because it looks a little bit different when you load into it. So I'm going to go to the DLC. I'm going to select SOG Prairie Fire. Just check the mods. I've got the right mods. Yep. And then we're going to hit play and we're going to jump in. Prairie Fire is almost like a complete remake of Arma 3. And hopefully the new World War II DLC that's coming soon, or may even well be out by the time you watch this video, is going to do a similar sort of thing. So very, very excited about that. And what's really cool about the Prairie Fire DLC is its integration with the SOG AI mod. And again, in the description below this video, you'll find links to videos that show you how to play Prairie Fire with the SOG AI mod, and a guide to using the SOG AI mod, because it really transforms the game. So as you can see, the menus look a little bit different when we go into Prairie Fire. And what we want to be looking at really when we want to work through the campaign is single player, campaigns, SOG Prairie Fire, and you'll see the different options we have here. You're going to start off with Eldest Son, and that works very well with SOG AI. You're going to probably miss Spin Down, because that doesn't work well with SOG AI. Bright Light and Ashtray 2 do, and I think all the others do, apart from Black Spear with the swimming, so they all work with SOG AI. One of the beauties of playing these games is that they're not just shooters, because you're using your squad and commanding them and moving them around as well. It's very much a case of it's almost like a little RTS game as you move stuff around. So dive in, set them to recruit, set them to easy. Don't be scared to go into the single player cheat menu and give yourself invincibility till you get used to what's meant to be happening, especially at the janky bits of some of the missions, of which there quite a lot of them. Now that's that. Now the other thing you want to have a look at as well, which is a lot of fun, is the showcases. And these allow you to spawn in and have a look around the map and have a look around the different equipment that you can use. So you've got the MAC-V SOG showcase, that's the original one, the 1.3 showcase that introduces Australians and lots of other stuff, and then you've got the People's Army of Vietnam showcases as well. So if we quickly spawn into this one, I'll kind of just show you. So if we restart this, I'll kind of show you. And these are really good opportunities outside of the editor actually to use the equipment that they show you to fly it around and kind of get used to the game, get used to the mechanics of the game, because there is a lot to start off with that you can kind of be a little bit unsure about. This is good actually, because I did talk about this in the previous segment, but here we have, you know, the map, which isn't just a map, because we have the briefing which tells us what we can be doing and shows us where everything could be. So let's just hit continue, and we're going to spawn in South Vietnam in 1966, I guess. It might be 69, I'm not quite sure. Let's have a look. And then we can go to third person, hit spacebar to go through the door. And remember, you can use the plus key, or the equals key next to the backspace key, to speed up time, so you can always move faster. And then you can press the minus key to get it back to normal. And look at all this fantastic stuff we can have a look around at. F4 Phantom, Seabees, helicopters, All that armour over there we can have a play with. Hueys. Tanks. Absolutely amazing. So don't be afraid to dive into here, take off in a helicopter, have a fly around the map, get used to some of the controls, and really enjoy the game, because Arma 3, it's just the beginning of a journey we've talked about in this video, and you've got the whole of SOG, the Prairie DLC to explore. You've got the vanilla campaign and the vanilla scenarios. You've got all of the other DLC. We've got the upcoming World War II DLC, or it may well be out by the time you watch this, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of additional missions and content that you can download from the Steam Workshop to play. And then you've got multiplayer. You've got PvP multiplayer, and probably most exciting is, I think, PvE co-op multiplayer, where you'll do some of the missions that you'll have done in Prairie, for example, but you'll do it with real people, and you will enjoy yourself immensely as you take on the AI. So there we go. Hopefully this video has been useful. If it has, obviously put any comments down below. Remember, the description is full of links to further reading and further watching and different guides to help you with this amazing game. And if you've enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and of course I'll see you again soon.